Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, guys. Celtic Warband here, and welcome to Age of Vikings. With the establishment of the Kingdom of Dublin, the Vikings found great wealth and prosperity in Ireland. So successful was their kingdom, in fact, that the Vikings now looked to expand their territory to the neighbouring island of Britain. Across the Irish Sea, a large Scottish port would provide an ideal first target. If the Vikings could capture the port and hold it, they could establish a foothold in Britain, shipping troops and supplies between Ireland and Britain with ease. A large army was assembled, and an attack was made in early autumn. The Scottish garrison was substantial, but what the Vikings didn't account for was the large army of Irish mercenaries that had just arrived. The outnumbered Vikings would now have to fight on two fronts. We'll begin the army comps by taking a look at the Scottish garrison first, of course being the Kingdom of Scotland, commanded by Anidzvara. And what better way to begin the army comps than by taking a look at the noble charged with the defense of this city. We have one unit of Alban nobles here, and right next to him he's got the bulk of his garrison forces. Now the garrison force I would estimate at around 3,500 strong, and it's of the quality of troops that I would expect for a garrison of this size. So we're going to have a lot of tier 1 and tier units in this garrison. We've got most of the axes and swords over here. He's got 5 units of basic medium axe infantry. And we also have 5 units of the tier 2 sword herdmen, but he's got 3 units of the sword herdmen in reserve at the back as well. We've also got a few units of spearmen, I believe 6 total. He has 5 units of spears kind of dotted in and around the city, but we've also got another unit of levy spearmen over here just cresting on the makeshift barricades that have been erected in the streets. We've got 4 units of archers as well. We've got 2 Highland archers and 2 lowland crossbowmen, and that pretty much rounds it out. Now there is, I believe, 3 or 4 units of Scottish cavalry outside the walls as well, but we'll take a look at them with the Irish reinforcements, which are coming up next. And now we come to the Irish mercenaries, the Kingdom of Ulster, commanded by Georgios the Greek. I hope that's how I pronounce your name. Apologies if it is not. But they've got a pretty formidable force on the battlefield as well. Right in the front lines, we have 5 units of levy spearmen. And then we've got 5 units of the Searthy swordsmen, I think is how you pronounce it. And then 5 units of the Searthy axemen. We've got 4 units of Irish kerns, good staple javelin men. We've got the King's Fianna over here. And then I did mention about the Scottish cavalry. They have actually rendezvoused in the tree line with the cavalry from the Kingdom of Ulster. So you can see we've got 4 units of the Kingdom of Ulster horsemen, and then 4 units of the Scottish horsemen as well. So 8 units of cavalry total. So hopefully they will be able to do some damage against the Viking attackers. And now we take a look at the attacking Viking army. And the Viking army is, of course, the Kingdom of Dublin, commanded by Sachix. And Sachix was the one who sent in this replay for me. He sent it in quite a few months ago, and I just haven't gotten around to getting the battle replay out until now. So if you are watching, man, thank you so much for this replay. I do appreciate it. But the Kingdom of Dublin, or the Viking army, has been split up into 3 separate wings. Maybe almost 4, actually, but we'll just start from their far left-hand flank. We've got a few units of Eastman cavalry here. We have some sword herdmen. We've got axe herdmen. We have a unit of mailed archers here. We've got some spearmen and some berserkers. Then up on the hilltop here, we've got more axe herdmen, more mailed archers, more berserkers, more sword herdmen, much of the same. We've also got a catapult. And then we have a very small wing over here. Again, the same units. We've got some spearmen, axe herdmen. We've got axe herdmen, swords. We've got the Imar cavalry. I doubt that's how you pronounce it, but this is the general's unit with some mailed archers. And then finally over here on the towers, much of the same, more axe and sword herdmen and more berserkers over here as well. So quite a few berserker units on this battlefield as well. Hopefully they will be able to get a lot of kills because, as I said, the Vikings are outnumbered 2-1 in this engagement. Alright guys, welcome to a quick tactical overview of this battle. So you can see where the Vikings have formed up on this right-hand flank here. It looks like they are going to try three avenues of attack. They're going to attack the long wall in the front, this corner section, and then possibly the long wall on the right-hand side. I'd imagine that the Vikings did land on these beaches over on the right-hand side, but we're unaware that the Irish mercenaries had landed over on the left-hand side. So you can see them all over here on the left-hand side. This is where they are moving forwards. The cavalry is already in the tree line, as you can see down on the bottom left. And the Scottish garrison is prepping for a defense. So the Vikings are going to be heavily pressured on their left-hand flank. Let's see how they fare. Alright guys, welcome to the battlefield, and as you can see we already have some of the Viking warriors scaling the walls and making their way into the port settlement. Now we do have some spearmen that are moving forwards to the walls, but it looks like the Vikings are going to get a pretty aggressive countercharge on these spears, and they don't have anyone supporting them as well, so they're going to get cut down quite quickly. Now before we get too far into this city battle, we have to remember that we've got a full land battle over here as well. So we've got the Vikings. They obviously have noticed the massive Irish army that is closing in on their left-hand flank, and they've kind of pushed back a bit to defend just by the rocky hillside here. Now, this does leave the units that have already scaled the walls and pushed into the settlement. Their back is kind of exposed here. I'm not sure if the levies are going to try and climb these ladders and flank them around, but we've already got some heated fighting between the Viking sword herdmen and the Alban warriors in this garrison. You can see the brilliant white from their shields glistening in the sunlight. The volleys there were from the Irish kerns as well. That's going to be a huge problem for the Vikings because they are already outnumbered. They cannot afford to be losing too many of their men. And as I say that too, we've got a tower collapsing here, killing some of the Vikings underfoot, but hopefully they will be able to rally and push forwards. I think they do actually own this gate now as well, so you can see that we've already got some troops being funneled in to reinforce the Vikings that are having a bit of difficulty. I believe we do have Scottish warriors fleeing the settlement at this point. That's pretty hard to see for the garrison troops. That's not what you want to see as a civilian in this settlement, is your garrison army fleeing. But yes, here we go! You can see that the Sithari swordsmen are actually using the tower to flank around the axe herdmen, and I really want to see some kind of clash out here as well. We've got some of the archers, the Nordic bows. They are set up for volleying, but it looks like the only ones that are going to be firing are these kerns. They've definitely got the range now to be able to whittle down the sword herdmen. Even in shield wall, they're not going to be able to hold for long against those armor-piercing bolts. And we've actually got some of the units moving forwards now. The berserkers are actually going in. Hold on, let's slow this down so we can actually enjoy the slaughter as these berserkers destroy these lightly armored levy freemen. They are going to cut through this unit like a knife through butter, and they've already gone berserk as well. That is insane. Now, we've got some troops pushing in over here. It looks like we do have some of the Sithari swordsmen moving in, but very passive otherwise from Sachiks. We'll keep an eye on that, but look at that volley! Really tearing down the sword herdmen there. That's not good to see. We've also got a lot of troops that have been spilling in from the right-hand side, but I haven't paid much attention to that just yet because there is no resistance over here. Most of the resistance is right in the center. And look at this, we've even got some of the Viking warriors actually flanking around these axemen here. Let's go ahead and get the battle sounds back out and just maybe zoom in down this massive line here of Viking warriors and Scottish warriors. And there we go, more Scottish warriors being committed in the distance there, but we've got more Viking warriors flanking around from behind. We've got more Scottish warriors being pushed into this choke point as well, just really pressuring the lightly armored axe herdmen. And do we have any units moving forwards here? We do not, and actually, the Berserkers have been left behind, and the Horseman unit of the Kingdom of Ulster has actually flanked around and is really causing some trouble for these Berserkers. We've got another unit of Berserkers that has moved forwards. I can understand Sachix being a little bit hesitant, but he does need to get this battle line going here. Obviously, he's probably microing in other areas of the battle, but look at this, just allowing the Kingdom of Ulster to get another solid charge onto the flank of the Sword Herdmen. We've got more of the Berserkers pushing in, though, at this stage. And let's go ahead and slow this down, because this battle is just kicking off here. It's basically a land battle and a siege battle at one time. So we've got the Sword Herdmen here. They are holding. We've got some good positioning for the mailed archers. They're actually tearing down some of these Thari axemen here. However, because of the ability of the Kingdom of Ulster swords to flank the Vikings, this flank has completely evaporated. We've even got some units over here pressuring the Vikings, pressuring the Vikings for the capture of this gate, but it's in Sachix's best interest to keep this gate open. That way, if things kind of go south, he can actually get his troops inside the city and hold from there. But it is looking pretty rough over in that area of the battlefield. Let's take a look at this battle, though. This looks epic here. We've got the swords versus the axes. You can see the Alban warrior headbutting the Viking, trying to drive him back, only to have the axe shoved back in his face. Oh, another Viking warrior there falling to his knees with a pretty... Oh, I was going to say a pretty bad wound, but then I look over here and one of the Vikings has actually lost his head to a great Scottish warrior. Very, very hard battle here. That guy was cut down from behind. We've got some other units being kicked up against the thatched walls there of the settlement. Or actually, no, that's actually a little fence. We've got more units even being committed in here. I don't even know if that's a good idea at this stage, because all of these units are going to be tired out eventually due to the fact they're in such a prolonged melee. And they should have been held in reserve because we've got more Axe Herdmen coming on in. I think the Axe Herdmen do need to get over here quickly, though, otherwise the Sword Herdmen will be outflanked. And how are things going? It looks like that Berserker unit was destroyed. We've got a unit charging in here against the Sword Herdmen, so it looks like the Irish are actually the ones that are going to be taking the fight to the Vikings. Well done. He needs to commit more of his swords, though, for fear of being outflanked. What do we got going on over here, though? Oh, we've got one of the archers actually left the safety of the lines, and they got hit hard by the Ulster horsemen. And now they're just going to ride out and find other areas of the battlefield to be a nuisance on. But a lot of them are being cut down, though, as they are trying to retreat. Very interesting. How many horsemen are still remaining is the question. We've got 2 Ulster horsemen over here, and the King's Vienna. That Ulster horseman did actually end up breaking, which is pretty crazy. But I see some other... Here we go. Yes, we've got all 4 of these Scottish horsemen coming around this side. So if they come around this side, Sachix doesn't really have anything to defend against some pretty disgusting rear charges. I do see we do have 2 units of the Eastman cavalry moving out, though. We've got the Alban noble over here as well, moving on in. I guess he's going to try and... oh, he's going to get a nice rear charge onto these axes. That actually might get them to break. Let's take a look and see. They are losing quite a few men there, and right behind them, we've also got some of the Sword Herdmen that are breaking under pressure from that charge as well. In fact, they have indeed broken. Morale not looking good for this healthy unit of Berserkers here as well. Hopefully they can hold out. Just more and more Scottish reinforcements coming on down. And check this out, guys. Look at all of these horsemen. The Vikings realize this, but they may actually have realized it too late to stop the flow of Scottish cavalry into their rear lines. I kind of want to see who actually gets the charge off here, if it's going to be the Alban horsemen or the Berserkers. It looks like both of them don't realize each other, and that means the Berserkers definitely have the upper hand there. They're going to slaughter this cavalry with their high melee attack and melee damage. So that did slow some of them down. I think it slowed about 2 units of them down, but as you can see, we've still got another unit over here, and it is going to slam into the rear lines of the Vikings. This sword herdman does not know what's about to hit it in the rear. Yeah, huge charge there. Well done to the Scottish player there, really utilizing his cavalry effectively. That is some bad news for the Vikings, having all this cavalry behind enemy lines like this. Let's actually turn on the HUD and see how much damage that caused. We thankfully do have another unit of Eastman cavalry here, and the general actually elected to leave the safety of the city and held up a unit of horsemen here. So it looks like only one of them really caused a lot of damage. Let's actually take a look at the rear charge that the Eastman cavalry are going to cause here. We'll put this onto play. There we go. Charge on in, boys. Yes. Well done. And I don't think the Scottish morale is going to stay high for long, because now they are completely surrounded between the sword herdmen and the Eastman cavalry. Let's quickly look at what's going on inside the city here, though. It does not look good. We've got all of the lowland crossbows coming over here with Highland archers and some more levy spearmen. This flank is really looking like it's softened up here in favor of the Scottish. We need to get some more troops over here. Oh no, and we've actually got the general. All of the Scottish cavalry has come against the Viking general. So if the Vikings lose their general this early on, it's basically going to be game over. The Vikings will have to get on their ships and flee back to the Kingdom of Dublin. And their hopes of establishing a foothold in the British Isles will all but be gone. Did they manage to save him? They did. Wow. Very, very close there. Thankfully, the Eastman cavalry were able to close in like that. We've got 2 units going over that direction. Oh, and maybe they're actually going to hit the crossbows here. But we do have the levy spearmen coming in to hopefully protect them. Let's put this back onto slow motion here. This battle is just action-packed, zipping between outside the walls and inside the walls. Good charge there into both of the lowland crossbow units, and it looks like the spears aren't even interested in that. Okay, there they go. Now they're going to start redeploying against the Eastman cavalry. What do we have over here? We've got more mailed archers that have set up. Okay. I don't think that's necessary now, just due to the fact that most of that cavalry is dead. But that was a good charge into the crossbows. The levy spearmen moving in will momentarily turn that back into the Scottish favor. But if this cavalry can get free, then they should be able to flank around and get some pretty good hits. The Alban Noble, his general's unit is looking pretty worse for wear as well. But speaking about worse for wear, this Viking battle line out here is looking pretty ragged indeed. Let's take a look at these beautiful Irish mercenaries fighting the Vikings here. You can just see the scale of the armor differences between the Vikings and the Irish. The Irish very light leather tunics, and that guy just got beheaded. Wow, that would definitely put some fear into the hearts of the other Irish warriors nearby. This massive Viking who just took a second head, and I would love to see how much the head count is on that guy, but we've got to take a look at what else is happening. So we've got an impending cavalry engagement over here. The Eastman cavalry have been overwhelmed at this point, and things are not looking good for the Vikings. You can see they were already outnumbered. Now, the gap has closed substantially. They're only at a 1,200-man deficit right now, whereas before it was a 2,200-man deficit. So they are closing in, but the Vikings are just getting exhausted. You can see where one unit is just holding 6 or 7 units of the Scottish garrison. Over here, more units breaking. Yeah, this is not looking very good. Hopefully the Berserkers will be able to turn the tide. I mean, they are holding very well. We've got sword herdmen slaughtering the Cetheri swordsmen and levy spears here. We've got more axemen that are really not doing much damage to the Berserkers at all. And the Eastman cavalry just, yeah, they've pulled back from this. They do not want to go 4v2 here, although if they can get a hold of the King's Vienna, that would be a very solid strategy. Now, most of the troops have been ejected from the city, so we're really going to focus on this land battle for the time being. There we go, some of the levy spearmen breaking. The second unit is going to feel the full might of the sword herdmen now. Come on, boys. Push them back. Let's take a look at what... Oops, let's take a look at what's going on down the line as well, so we can see everything. We do have some cavalry there. What cavalry is that? Is that the Eastman cavalry of the Kingdom of Dublin? It is. Look at this. They're actually turning things around here. The Irish are really struggling. We've got the Eastman cavalry, the berserkers, just flanking around all remaining units, and the Irish just seem to have crumbled at this point. That is not good. What's the man count now? The deficit is growing, though. Well, yeah, it's at about 1,000 men. We've got all of these Scottish units. Look at them coming forwards over here, but we've got this unit of sword herdmen that are actually forming up inside the gatehouse. That's actually quite a smart move by the Vikings, because if these units do push down, their flanks are protected. So yeah, not a bad idea there to just keep all of those Scottish units inside the city and prohibit them from actually helping the Irish on the outside. Now, this is unfortunate here. The Vikings, the Berserkers, are going to get charged in the backs, and there's nothing Sacheks can do about that because they're actually going berserk as we speak. Now, this Eastman cavalry needs to come on in. A good charge from the Irish horsemen has broken a sword herdman unit, and this general coming in as well. He's going to hit the backs of this Eastman cavalry unit. He's in wedge formation as well. All the bodies of the men slamming on through, forcing the Eastman cavalry back. That's not good for the Vikings. I don't think that will hold for very long. So the two Eastman cavalry, we've got one unit of horsemen coming in here. Is the Vikings going to allow him to just charge into this? I think so, actually. Yeah, he's formed up, but he's not prepared for this fight. Look at the zealous Irish warriors just charging on down the slopes here. They actually might have got a bit of a downhill charge bonus there, too, on the Eastman cavalry. That is super unfortunate for the Vikings. Hopefully he will notice that and get another unit around the flank there. And yes, okay, he's done the same thing over here, so he's just trying to hold all the Scottish back and keep them from using their numbers against him. And meanwhile, he's just trying to destroy as much of the Irish as he can. And yes, there we go. So we're gonna have them flank around, I would assume. Yes? Come on. Come on, don't leave your boys hanging here. Come on, charge in! This has got Braveheart feels all over it, where he's waving the flag like, charge in, and they're just sitting on the hilltops, not coming in to help. But thankfully, they did, and that should be the end of that cavalry unit, I would say. Hopefully, the Eastman cavalry can hold for the time being. How are things looking over here? The general is kind of surrounded now. We've got one unit of spearmen fighting some archers and some sword herdmen. But that's not going to go over well for them. The general's actually just going to try and get out of there as quickly as he can. We've got more of the Irish cavalry charging in as well. And just look at this engagement. Bodies strewn everywhere. Even in the top left-hand corner there, you can see how gruesome that battle line was between the Irish and the Vikings. And did the Berserkers survive that were over there? They did, so they're going to wrap up those Irish kerns and then probably hit the rear of these units. We've got a desperate cycle charge here, kind of in and out with the horsemen from the Kingdom of Ulster. And it looks like, are these Scottish warriors? Yes, they did finally break out from the city and are coming to aid the Irish in their defense, but that was a huge hit too by that catapult. Very nice shot by Sacheks there. Unfortunately, it did not rout any of them though. Oh no! Oh no, the general died facing off against the Irish general. However, the King's Vienna really taking a beating there from that charge from the Eastman cavalry. Yeah, his numbers are going down quite quickly. We've got more Eastman cavalry coming over here as well. We've got brave mailed archers holding back those horsemen so that this catapult can fire for longer. But, man, the bounce, it's 700 men versus 1,400, so it's basically 2v1 right now, as it's been this entire battle. That surely should see off those levy spearmen, especially with the ally volleying fire arrows there. No way is the Eastman cavalry gonna break. Oh, no. Don't say it is so. Oh, and they did. They shattered. They are not returning. And there we go. The King's Vienna has died, and that probably is the end of the Irish mercenaries. It's all down to Scotland's garrison now to see off the remaining Vikings, and this is, I don't think he's gonna have enough for this, to be honest. We do have an Eastman cavalry unit still alive, but this isn't 12-12 cavalry. This cavalry is pretty squishy. It can get some good charges in melee, but what he really needs to do is be, the Scottish need to do is be very careful with their Alban noble. Yeah, he could be moving up to fight those mailed archers, but I don't think that he has enough units, enough men in his bodyguard to take on that mailed archer unit. Let's actually put this on slow motion too. We've only got 5 minutes left in this battle already. Now, the general is the one with the large circular shield, so he is definitely being focused here. We've also got the catapult crew. It looks like they're moving on in to try and slow the advance of the general's bodyguard. But they are moving in very quickly. Nice volleys there. Oh, this guy getting shot right in the eye. And he is brought down. Thankfully, that is not the general, though. The general is towards the back here. The Alban nobles. Let's quickly take a look at what's happening down here. The Berserkers have wrapped up a lot of the units that have made it outside for Scotland with the help of the Eastman cavalry. So actually, this looks very doable. It's 386 Vikings versus 742 for the Scottish garrison. I'm going to focus over here. Sorry, getting a little too crazy with the movement of the camera. But this is a very exciting looking ending here. This is coming down to the wire. And I want to see what happens to the Alban noble here. Whether he does indeed survive or if he dies. You can hear one of his comrades yelling that they're losing too many men. Can he finish off these archers, though? I think if they do manage to finish off these archers and the general still remains, I think Scotland will have it. The only problem is those berserkers with their very high morale, and not to mention their huge punching power with their melee attack and melee damage. It looks like they are kind of munching through these mailed archers, though, I do have to say. Come on. Oh, he's just hopping on through. Come on, boy. What's their unit at? They were at 25 before, so they're down to 17. Yeah, this isn't looking good. And is he breaking? No, he's going to try and escape. That's very risky, but it looks like he... Oh, no! That was him dead. That's him dead. We didn't get the message, but as he tried to escape, he was brought down by one of the mailed archer units. And with that, all of the units outside of the settlement have been annihilated. And now it's all down to the remains of this garrison. But now with the general dead, will they have the resolve they need to hold on against the Vikings? Now, very smartly, they are putting their crossbows up on the walls, so that will definitely aid them in thinning out the berserkers here. In fact, the berserkers are actually wavering already. I mean, the balance of power says he has it, but 290 versus 439. This is going to be extremely close. Extremely close. Do we even have archers, like, leaving here? I think he's trying to spread out his units if possible. And I think he's being very careful to stay well out of range of those crossbowmen.
Let them go! They've had it!
Alright, very smartly, the Vikings elected to go in the far gate and bypass the crossbows altogether. But the Scottish have formed up a defense. Unfortunately, they didn't get the crossbows over there in time to fire down on the units, though. And here we go. We've got fire arrows being fired upon the Eastman Cavalry, but the Eastman Cavalry have run through the first line, and they're going to push into the second line there. And I think that actually is it. There we go, a Pyrrhic victory, 200 of the Vikings remaining after this battle. So it is a victory, but can the Vikings really capitalize upon this win? Alright guys, here is the end result to that very epic battle. I cannot believe how down to the wire that battle was. Very, very enjoyable. Thank you again, Sanchix, for sending it in. I do appreciate it. Looking at his army over here with the Kingdom of Dublin, right away, the things that stick out are Sword Herdmen 560 and 503. Even the 316, 273 are quite good as well. Other things that stick out, one of the Berserkers, 427 kills there. We've got a couple of cheap axe herdmen here with over 200 kills, archers with over 200 kills, and cavalry with well over 100 kills. Looking at the Scottish garrison, the Alban nobles bringing down 99 men before succumbing to his injuries, but the rest is pretty much a mixed bag. I don't think they did enough damage to be able to overturn the Viking menace. One of the ones, axemen did get 122 kills there, and the crossbows 174. That is quite good. Looking at the Irish mercenaries, the King's Fianna getting 229 kills. 235 and 202 are quite good for the Sarathi, or Sarathi? I've already forgotten how to say that, swordsman. And a couple of the axemen doing okay, but again, just not enough kills against the Vikings. 172 on that horseman unit is quite good, though. But thank you so much for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed today's battle. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this in the future. And as always, I will see you in the next one.